Wow, Oxford United fans, just wow, where on earth do we go from here? And before you all start screaming the obvious answer, welcome back to another review of this mess of an Oxford United season. Today, Oxford were at home to Shrewsbury, trying to avoid 4 defeats in a row. It's a Shrewsbury side going for 5 wins in a row. And although it was an improved performance and probably the best performance we've seen from Oxford in the last few games, it is still a defeat. Congratulations to Shrewsbury Town. The Shrews have come away from the Kassam with a clinical bit of a smash and grab, but they won't care. 1-0 win. It finished Oxford United 0, Shrewsbury Town 1. And although this was an improved Oxford United performance, and I'll even go as far as to say Oxford United probably deserve to win this game, it's still the same old problems, isn't it? We can't bloody score and we can't keep clean sheets, and Shrewsbury have taken full advantage for that. They weren't good in the game, they didn't need to be good in the game, and they won't care. And I'm going to say again, congratulations to them. They've come away with a 1-0 win. Superb run of form for them, whilst we... Some people said it a few weeks ago and I kind of laughed it off, but you can't help but feel it now. We're sleepwalking into a relegation fight, and you can only think that there's got to be a change at management level. There has to make that change now, you would think. If Robinson carries on in this job, it is, in my opinion, more of a risk to keep him at this point than to get rid of him. Before we get into those final thoughts, let's just talk about this game. United chopped and changed again, as you would expect them to do from the side that played Barnsley, whereas we played 4-3-3 again, which I think is a mistake. But Billy Bowden played as a striker. He was deemed good enough to be a striker on Wednesday, but he's back as an attacking midfield role, which probably is his right position. Joseph was a right winger against Barnsley. He's back to a striker, which I think is his right position. But again, there's chops and changes at the back. Now, you know, Cameron Brannigan's out, so you've got McGuane and Bate in midfield. And as I say, and the back line, all of a sudden you've got Fleming back in, you've got Anderson out of the side, you've got Long back to right back and Brown back to centre back. It's just lack of cohesion all the way through the season. The only good thing I'd say is I was really glad to see Tyler Goodrum getting a start, and it's good to see Josh Murphy back on the bench. How long he is going to be fit for remains to be seen. And as I said, Shrewsbury went into this game on the back of a really good run of form with 4 wins in a row. They were a big blow for them. Matthew Pennington was injured, meaning Pike came in for him, and Phillips came in for Street, were the changes that Steve Cottrell had to make. And a very light Shrewsbury Town side. Bear in mind, we've talked about injuries this season. Shrewsbury had a lot of injury and illness and couldn't even field a full bench. But also at the back, they have got, well, not in the back, in midfield, they've got Luke Leahy, who is their leading scorer and probably one of their best players. And rock at the back, Shay Dunkley, who was a bit of a rock at the back, and the sort of powerful, dominating centre-back has been sadly missing for Oxford United. And as much as this result is a bitter pill to swallow, United did actually play all right in this game, and Shrewsbury's goalkeeper Morosi made some really good saves and was probably their man of the match, I would say, if not Dunkley. He really kept Shrewsbury in the game. There were some good saves he made from Bowden, good save he made from a McGuane volley and from a Fleming free kick. Also as well, maybe should have had a penalty really looking back on it, but you know, we just didn't get given it. But it was a good effort from Kieran Brown, which was blocked on the line from Flanagan. But Shrewsbury didn't really offer much, and at times this was a bit bowl and shoe ugly, if I'm quite honest. But it was just, from what we've seen from Oxford in the last few weeks, this was definitely the best performance. I'm not saying it was great by a long stretch, but we looked a more cohesive unit, and we actually looked like we might actually score a goal in this one. Kyle Joseph was the latest one to go, was a very unlucky. Good turn, got in behind, but his shot came back off the post. So as much as Oxford have been struggling, we also didn't really get the rub of the green in this one as well. Billy Bowden went off injured on 40 minutes, and that meant that Tyler Smith came into the game. Goodrum moving into a more central position. But it was Oxford who really made a lot of the running in the first half. Shrewsbury were just kind of happy to just sit in the game and stay in the game. They didn't really offer too much going forward. It didn't really look a dynamic counter-attacking side, like we've seen other sides play against Oxford, like Exeter, for example. But Oxford can't score, and they went in 0-0 at half-time. Second half, and again, it was Oxford, I thought, who were the more lively and the more likely to score a goal. They were the ones in the ascendancy. Shrewsbury sort of really sitting back, but they had their own game plan here, and obviously it ended up working for them. McGuane had an effort tipped over the bar. It's good to see Marcus McGuane playing more advanced. He had more shots in this game. Along with McGuane, the likes of Bate and Goodrum, I thought both had really good games for Oxford United. But again, sound like a broken record, it's just creating that clear-cut clinical chance, and when it does come about, you just didn't seem like we could take it, and you just felt the more the game went on, the more we were pushing for the winner, the more always nervous Oxford could concede a goal at any time. And this game swung on the 70th minute, 74th minute. Say Dunkley makes a mistake from a long throw-in. Kyle Joseph gets in. He's in with a clear chance of goal. He can't get the ball past Morosi. I mean, it wasn't a great shot. Morosi makes the save. But then Shrewsbury come down the other end. They keep the ball for a bit in Oxford's half. Around the penalty area, Oxford failed to clear it. Then there was I haven't got the player who did this, but a really excellent scooped ball over the top, which just takes out the Oxford defence. It's a pretty simple ball, but it was a very, very effective ball. And Ryan Bowman, who came off the bench today, proved to be that clinical difference between the sides. His volley goes in the back of the net. My goodness, what Oxford could do for a player like him. Someone who can score goals, someone who's quite powerful, big, and can hold the ball up. You know, that is where the game was won and lost again. It's just Shrewsbury were more clinical with the chances that they had. And then you just felt Oxford were just not going to get back into the game. As much as they pushed and as much as they huffed and puffed, really many clear-cut chances, didn't really forge anything out for Tyler Smith, and Oxford lose. Again. The mood at the final whistle was, there was some definite chance for Robinson to go, and you would expect that. But I think it was just almost like a stunned disbelief that we'd actually lost this game. Oxford players were down on their haunches as if they had lost a cup final. They were really physically distraught at the end of this game, which you can take as a good sign or a bad sign, really. But yeah, you know, it is an improved Oxford United performance, but again, you've come away with nothing, and it's the same old problems. I mean, look at some of these players that we've got. Wiltshire, he's not doing enough. He's not impacting the game enough. They're not getting him the ball enough. He's not got a dynamic turn of pace that can get in and create that many chances for us. Joseph, for all his endeavour, the goals have dried up for him. Tyler Smith, I'm going to say it straight away. Have we just replaced Matt Taylor with a Matt Taylor light? Because I'm telling you, if Matt Taylor would have come on and played that second half like Tyler Smith did, and we didn't give him a lot of service, you would have been throwing pelters at Matty Taylor, calling him lazy, calling him crap. So I have to say, is getting rid of our top goal scorer for the last few seasons and one of our talismanic players really the right decision at this side? I hope Tyler Smith comes well, but early signs, I'm not too optimistic. And really the bright lights in this side is a young lad we got on loan from Leeds, and Tyler Goodrum, who's a teenager who probably at the start of the season probably wouldn't have thought to have got much game time. He at least looks a bright spark in this side. But too many times it's just we get into good areas, but the final ball or the end product or the end shot just isn't good enough. And how are we going to address this? I don't know how this is going to change. Is it just got to get a bit of luck and then it will click and then it will go? Or are we just magically hoping that Sam Baldock can come back and maybe play 10 games and therefore he will be the goal scorer that we need? Wow, this season's turning bad, isn't it? Well, I mean, it's hard to be positive. And I have to just think now, if they don't make a decision to get rid of Karl Robinson now, when do you make that decision? If anybody listened to that 5-minute fans forum with Tim Williams, he spoke quite well and a little bit ambiguously about what the future holds for KR. I got the impression that they're just probably going to stick with him till the end of the season. Other people read into it different ways, but I thought it looked like they thought that it would be more of a risk to get rid of Karl than to keep him. But I think that's had to have changed now. This game against MK Dons next weekend is absolutely massive. If we lose that one, and you have to kind of think that we will, considering that they've won today and are on a bit of a resurgence and we are terrible, That's 5 defeats. That will almost inevitably be 6 when we play Plymouth on Tuesday. That's 6 defeats in a row. Is it then? Is that too much? Or do you cut your losses now and try and just... I don't know who's going. That's a problem, isn't it, as well? Who's going to come in and take over this job in the interim period? Is it going to be Steve Kinneborough? Is it going to be Sam Baldock? Who is going to come over and take over the role? Is it going to be Craig Short? The obvious choice was John Messina. He's jumped off to Portsmouth. Bad, isn't it? Really bad and really desperate times. And I do want to hear your thoughts and your comments. But let's try and... you can vent. Of course you can vent. And I expect you will. But remember, I have to read through a wall of anger and misery. So if there can be a few kernels of happiness in there, I would appreciate it. And Shrewsbury fans, please, if you've made it this far in the video, then, you know, amazing respect to you. And thank you very much for hearing the rants of a random 40-year-old talk about not your club for a long, long time. But if you want to leave your comments, you're more than welcome to do so. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts on where you think this season can go after a great run that you've been on. But we are... as I've said many times, we're a mess. We're a real mess. We looked more of a team today, but it's still not good enough. And it still wasn't good enough. And it's a scramble now to get 50, 55 points. And it looks more and more difficult to do that. Wow. It wasn't long ago we beat Ipswich, was it? How things change very quickly. Thanks very much for watching. If you can leave a like, that's great, and all that stuff, and subscribe to the channel. But thank you very much for hearing my vents. I do appreciate it, and I'm glad I got a bit of Oxford United time. I might do it, you never know. I might be back to do a video about a managerial change this week. But if not, then I'll be back to do a review of the MK Dons game next Saturday. Can't wait. I'm sure you're the same. Try and enjoy your evening or when you're watching this. Bye for now.